One of the best perks of this job is when my cell phone all of a sudden buzzes. And not soon after that, my landline rings, which is kind of a strange thing because I still have one. Then my cell phone bings again because someone's trying to call it because I have now gotten 2 phone calls and a text message. What I like to say is, well, my boss has called me, figuratively speaking, and said, Oliver, the roads are bad out there. The conditions are horrible. It is unsafe for you and everyone in the district to go outside. And then you get the great news. You have a snow day. Welcome to Middle School Madness, a podcast about teaching and things that are interesting to teachers. Hey, my name is Oliver Wieheog, and I am a 26-year veteran of the middle school classroom. And this is episode 6, Snow Days. As you can tell behind me, yes, it is snowing out. I am having a snow day. Snow days are exciting. They are always a great surprise. But what do you do on your snow day? Are there any drawbacks to snow days? And of course, does anything funny and interesting ever happen on a snow day? And in the last 24 hours, I realized that at my ripe old age of 54, snow days are absolutely the best. They're exciting. Forecasters have gotten so good that they can tell you when the snow is coming. They can tell you how much it's going to be. It may not be 100% accurate, but as a teacher, if you want to get the attention of your students and have them focused at the beginning of your class, a great opening monologue is the weather. Start your class by simply putting up the weather map. Talk about what's coming. Maybe you know a little bit about how the weather works. What's wonderful is everybody has an opinion about the weather, and students are interested in the weather. Of course, in a middle school environment, they really don't think past their nose, which is why they show up wearing shorts and Crocs to school. So when you tell them that we are looking at 4 to 6 inches, 1 to 3 inches, the class tends to focus in this moment. You can get their attention. They always have an opinion about that, and it is a great way to start class. Now, outside of the classroom, one of the things that I really like doing is walking down the hallway and asking teachers that I may or may not have talked to in a while, hey, did you hear about the weather? I think it's going to snow. What do you think? And all of a sudden, people will stop you in the hallway. They will talk to you. They will share some information with you. And it's always funny because I've discovered over years in a building that the weather in these cases, it brings the building together. People smile a little bit. There's a surprise around the corner. We're going to get snow. Will it cancel school? When's the snow going to fall? Will the buses be able to make it? What about the diesel in the trucks? And it's a really wonderful experience because there's just exciting energy where you get to talk about the weather, and then everybody, which is funny, crosses their fingers and thinks, oh, maybe we'll have the day off. And of course, the irony here is we all want to be there. Well, at least the teachers, we've signed up for the job. We like being in the building, But when it comes to snow days, I don't want to be there. I would rather be somewhere else. It's exciting to break the routine of teaching for one day in January or February or maybe March and leave the building. And since we all have cell phones, computers, access to weather, everybody in the hallway has an opinion. Everybody wants to be the person that has to make the decision, and yet at the same time, they don't want to be that person at all because to make that decision is really, really challenging. But when the decision finally comes through and you realize that you have a snow day, there's a billion questions that always go through our heads as teachers. One, is this a day to catch up? Do you say to yourself, oh, I've got some grading to do. I've got some planning I can get done. I can go make a new bulletin board. I've got a whole list of things to do. Is it a mental health day? I can finally catch up on all of my things on Netflix, Amazon Prime. Do I read a book? Do I simply put my skis in the car and go skiing? Because clearly wherever you are, it's been snowing. Now you get to go somewhere. One of the things as I have evolved as a teacher is number 1 on a snow day, make coffee. You got to do it. It's delicious. Then you got to go shovel. Chances are you've got to dig out from wherever you are, which is why they call the cancellation, and you're not really going to go far. I am of the opinion that it should be a mental health day. Just take the day off. Teaching is a grind. You got to show up for 180 plus days straight, do the same routine, same time schedule, same bell schedule. Do something different on your snow day. Just break the routine because you know in 24 hours you're going back into the classroom, back into a bell schedule. How nice is it to simply take one day off and get a break out of your routine? If that means you have a second or third cup of coffee, that is a great idea. There is a box of Pop-Tarts hidden inside your cupboard somewhere, and I happen to really like Pop-Tarts. Have Pop-Tarts. They're delicious. Frankly, I think you could live off of those things. Or maybe you do one of the best things ever. You take your coffee, you take your Pop-Tarts, and you prop your chair and just look out the window. Those of us here in Western Pennsylvania know that for 90% of the wintertime, it is brown outside. It is slightly green if you live next to evergreens. It is not the most beautiful place on the planet, but you cover it with a little snow. It looks fantastic. And as a teacher, what a great way to stop and reflect about what you're doing in the classroom, what's going on outside of your classroom. Then to literally sit in front of a window and watch it snow. It is awesome. And on snow days, if you are lucky enough to watch it snow, I recommend that you sit in front of a window and watch the snow fall down. And you're thinking to yourself, wow, snow days sound great for teachers. You guys get the day off. You don't have to work. Maybe you shovel. Oh, sit in front of a window. It doesn't always go this smoothly. Because in the teaching profession, chances are when you go to bed the night before, there's a list inside your head of what you have to do the next day. This list could be really simple. This list could be very complex. It could be I've got to do these things the moment I hit the door. It could be I have several meetings during my lunch that I've got to attend to. Regardless, it is a list. So now a monkey wrench is thrown into it with what I like to call the 2-hour delay. 2-hour delay is where your boss calls you up and says, it's not so good outside, but it will be better in 2 hours. Give it 2 hours, come to school, we'll do a shortened schedule. Everything is fine. Except in my brain, one of the strangest things happens. If I have a short list and I get the message at 5:30 in the morning, and that list is short, chances are I can just roll over and go back to bed and restart my day 2 hours later. That would be the exception, of course. Many times I have a big list in my head, and the moment I get a text that says you have a 2-hour delay, my brain cells start rubbing together, the adrenaline kicks in, and I am wide awake now, literally trying to rearrange my day to accommodate my lessons to fit now, instead of a 40-minute block, all the way down to a 30 or maybe 25. Because you got to get their attention. They're going to be a little scattered. They're coming in 2 hours too late. The routine is broken. And you can't go back to bed. And you rotate everything in your head hundreds of times, it feels. Then all of a sudden, if you're lucky enough, you might get a second ring, ding, ding, buzz, buzz, buzz. Now we've decided to cancel because the conditions have either gotten worse or frankly, we couldn't clear it off or the buses wouldn't start or who knows. And then your brain will relax a little bit, but you're still thinking, couldn't go back to bed for 2 hours. I'm up now. Clearly it's time for what every teacher loves in the morning, coffee and Pop-Tarts. And this is really hard, right? Because you just sometimes want to just lay there, and having your head explode in the morning is kind of crazy. Other times, after the snow days are complete, there is more fun to be had. And you're like, wait a minute, more fun to be had after the snow day? Yes. After the snow day, there's a lot more fun. And we're going to go back 25 years. And 25 years ago, you realized cell phones weren't really a thing. Only a few people had them. The internet was kind of growing. I had a computer in my classroom that was hooked up to nothing. I literally had a floppy disk in it that I would stick in there. And so how did you do a snow day 25 years ago? We had a phone tree. Yeah. Not with real roots, but a phone tree. You know, the principal would call the assistant principals would call 6 other people, those 6 other people would each call 4 other people, until eventually everybody figured it out that school was canceled, that there was a delay. Sounds really simple, All you got to do is pick up your landline and call somebody. Just give them a call. It worked flawlessly every single time. Not a true statement. It hardly worked ever at all. And there was nothing better than going to a faculty meeting sometime in like April or maybe in November where we would talk about, hey, you're going to get a cancellation this year. How's that phone tree going? Who's calling who and how's it going to work? And every year there would always be that teacher who says, well, I didn't get the phone call because they didn't get it. Maybe they showed up to school, or I don't even know what happened in 1997. And I just remember sitting there as a young faculty member thinking, I don't really know a lot about like the internet, but you could go to a web page and see what's been posted, right? Or there's this other invention called the television where they scroll the names alphabetically on the bottom of the screen. But knowing how faculty meetings work, I clearly did not say any of this and just sat there and for years laughed at how people, one, would not get the phone call, make the phone call, turn on an internet, or go to a website, and yet somehow they managed to show up and still continue to teach despite all of this. Times have changed. I get a text message, I get a phone call, I can go on the internet, and I can watch the TV, whatever that means in 2024. But out of all the snow days out there, my favorite snow day of all probably comes down to Super Bowl Sunday. I don't even remember the year. I don't even know who was playing. That tells you a lot about the Super Bowl right there. But I remember somewhere, right before the halftime show, the magical buzz started going around the house. First it's the cell phone, then it's the landline, and then it's the text message, and we had a cancellation for the following Monday. Let's just put it this way. That was a great, great snow day. And it was a great Super Bowl. Somebody won the game and people were happy. Probably sounds a lot like the faculty in my district that evening. People were happy because someone was going to win the game, and your boss said, don't come in the work the next day. The joy of a snow day is endless and it's entertaining, and that's why we tend to like them the most. Well, there you have it. There is the sound of the bell. It is time to punch out, wash up, and leave the greatest playground in all of the world, your classroom. Hey, so glad you have decided to become a teacher. The world always needs great teachers. We would love to hear your voice on Middle School Madness. If you would like to be part of the show, drop me an email. Right, remember to leave a comment down below about how you do your snow days. Thank you for listening. You guys are great. And we will see you in the hallway.